Just 1 second here. Okay, yeah, looks like we're live. So I'm here, as always, Joseph from MediaTek, here with David Flores from Psych. Just gonna do a Q&A. We've got a few questions in here. So first off, how are you doing today, David?
I'm doing great, Joseph. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So it's your first Q&A. Um, Luckily, not a ton of questions. Keep it short. Um, should be fun.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
So, right off the bat, like, what's your value pitch as a company?
Yeah, so I mean, it's all about creating the most prominent media platform here for the medicinal psychedelic space. We had the foresight to go out and scoop up what I think is the best ticker symbol in the industry here in psychedelics and PSYC. We did that back in January of 2020. Really in recognizing that we were going to get involved in this space and in this industry and be in it for the long haul here, in recognizing the potential that existed here. And so media was our entry point, and that's been our core focus here. We run and operate psychedelicspotlight.com, which has become I have no hesitation in saying a top 5 media platform in the psychedelic space. We're top ranking on Google for psychedelic news. We've got more than 500,000 page views to the site each and every month. But also more importantly, we've built a really strong brand and reputation for ourselves within the industry, within the community. People know who we are. Most of your top companies know who we are. They respect the voice that we're lending to the space in this industry right now. So that's it. We're really looking to infiltrate the cultural and lifestyle side of this growing community here in psychedelics, similar to on the cannabis side of things, what High Times has been able to do and how they've become a staple within that community and a valuable one, in my opinion. So that's it, but the big picture, which maybe we'll get into a little bit more here, is, obviously we're a publicly traded company trying to create value here for our shareholders, our stakeholders, our employees, everyone involved. So we've got grander visions here as far as, what we want to be able to do in this space as it continues to evolve in the coming years.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, similar things have boomed with the marijuana industry recently. So, I'm sure something's coming along the horizon, right? So,
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, what I remind folks out there is, the psychedelic space is still very much in its infancy. We are where cannabis was maybe 10, 15 years ago. I mean, listen, 10 or 15 years ago, if you had asked me if I thought it'd be possible, that in some cities on almost every street corner, you would have a recreational dispensary where you could just walk in and buy what you wanted, I probably would have thought you were crazy, but that's where we are. So that's why today, when we talk about, psychedelics and its pathway to whether it's legalization or just, being able to be introduced into society. And, it seems like a radical concept right now, given where the space is at this particular point in time. But when you drill down into it and you see really the pathway that's starting to be established for it, I think you can see where it's got the opportunity to really become part of our mainstream society here and really evolve into a full-fledged industry, similar to what we've seen happen with cannabis.
yeah. Um, all right. So jumping off that, you know, 10, 15 years in the future, saying could get to that point. What do you see the next month, 6 months look like for your company as a whole?
Yeah, well, I mean, for our company as a whole, it's obviously continuing to grow our psychedelic spotlight platform. I think first things first, it was necessary for us to be able to build this platform in order to establish an identity for ourselves here in this space and gain a foothold in it, but also give ourselves an opportunity to start to create monetization pathways here for the company. When I was handed the keys of PSYC back in July of 2020, I was handed a website that had maybe 3 or 4 articles on it, and so I was posed with the challenge of, how am I going to take this and create it into something of value here, something that could eventually be a tangible asset for the company. And so over the last 12, 18 months, that's exactly what we've done through our content production. I'm privileged to have the opportunity to work with an incredible team here that's sharing this vision and this passion. So for us, continuing to expand on that, we've potentially got some news coming out next week about an opportunity that we are looking to take advantage of, that we hope will get us out there in front of more eyeballs in terms of our content. So that's what it's about. It's just, continuing to grow our brand, continuing to grow our audience. We can talk a little bit more about that in a second, but the value that I believe in establishing a very loyal following, I believe that that's something that carries a lot of weight, and I think is going to potentially tie into some of the future opportunities that we want to explore here, whether it's over the next several months or whether it's in the next year or so. But it's just, again, that continuing to build out our platform and, continuing to attract a larger audience out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I couldn't agree more. It doesn't matter what you're selling, what the business is. You need an audience.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, so this is a good one. What do you think the most important aspect of psychedelics is, in your opinion, and why did you choose to get into this business?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, it's really about the potential that it has to be, excuse me, a transformative, to contribute to a transformative change in our approach to mental health. I think you talk to anybody, and it's something that we're seeing more and more throughout, what the mainstream media has been covering is we're in a situation now where you've got millions of people out there suffering from clinically diagnosed mental health conditions, ranging from depression, anxiety, PTSD, so on and so forth. And we've come to a point where for so many of these individuals, they've really just run into a brick wall in terms of being able to find effective treatments. And where psychedelics has a tremendous amount of potential, is we can observe this through anecdotal evidence that's readily available to us, is they can go far beyond what your more traditional treatments such as SSRIs are able to offer people suffering from some of these mental health conditions. And so that's where a big part of the motivation for myself comes from, to be involved in this space and in this industry. I've shared the story about having lost my father in 2018 after a long battle with alcoholism and depression. And, shortly thereafter, I, came across a story of someone who went through similar, suffering in a similar situation to that of my father's. And that's really where, I started to ask myself, well, why are we not talking about psychedelics more? Why is this something that is still being, shoved in the shadows and being held back? And so for me, as then I started to go down the rabbit hole and really find out what was happening here, and then started to, uncover some of these companies like MAPS that, have been working to kind of push this into the mainstream for several years. I said, listen, if there's a way that I can play a part in helping to get this into the mainstream so that, we can end or at least help in the suffering of so many people out there, it's something that I want to do. I'm all about building a company for value here. Yes, for our shareholders and our stakeholders, and again, for our employees, but conscious capitalism is super important to me as well, and building something that is of value to our society, to humanity, and the communities that we live in. That's equally as important. And I feel like we have an opportunity to play a role in that here with what we're doing with Psychedelic Spotlight and with PSYC. So yeah, that's really what motivates me the most, is just being a part of that transformative change that I think we can contribute to here.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, it's a great answer. Great motives behind it. It's not just build a company, make money. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, we've moved past that era of, just that's all about building a company just for the sake of creating value for that company. And, companies in the past would operate almost like on an island, where they were just focused on whatever was there, on their own island. And I think now we're at a point where this world as a whole is so much more interconnected than it's ever been before. And so it is about asking yourself, well, how am I actually contributing to, society? How am I contributing to my community and things of that nature? And that is also a big part of what the psychedelics community is all about. Psychedelics are all about interconnectedness. And so we want to definitely be at the forefront of leading that charge at a corporate level. So again, it's just something that's so very important to me.
I mean, to say, like, do what you love and you won't work a day in your life.
100%.
All right. So I think this one kind of leads into it as well. What are the most important things you can mention just about the company growth wise, and like where do you see this all leading to?
Yeah, so I go back to the value in having established a very loyal following and building a strong audience for ourselves here through Psychedelic Spotlight. Again, that may not be something that can be considered an asset that you can put on the balance sheets and show as an asset, but to me, it does carry a lot of value to it. So that's why that's been such a central focus of ours in terms of building that loyal following and doing it organically here over the past 12 to 18 months. And where I see value in that, and I think a perfect example of that, we put out the press release yesterday announcing our increased ownership stake in Psycdev, which is the mental wellness app that is in the very beginning stages of development. We're co-developing it with Digital Acorn, an investment firm. And what I can tell you, Joseph, is, Digital Acorn's interest in becoming involved in this project was really predicated on our involvement, PSYC's involvement in this. They looked at this and they said, you guys have the knowledge and the expertise within the psychedelic space that, that they don't necessarily have. But more importantly, we have an audience, we have a following within this space, so that when it comes time to start building a user base for the app, we don't have to necessarily start from scratch. We've got an audience here that's already demonstrated a significant amount of interest in psychedelics, in holistic lifestyle, living and wanting to achieve, things like peak performance through holistic practices such as psychedelics. So why not tap into that? So essentially, Digital Acorn said, listen, if that's not going to be something that we can tap into, then we have no interest really in being involved in this project. And that's right there where I said, yes, this is where the value of building that audience is, and then building that following. And I expect to be able to come across future opportunities like that as we continue to move along. Of course, nothing is guaranteed, but I will tell you that it is our focus to be able to identify opportunities out there, whether they're media related or whether they're not. And I'll just throw out an example, complete hypothetical example. Say there's a mushroom manufacturing company out there, and they want to position themselves to get involved in the psychedelic space, and so they see value in working with us and coming together with us. That may present itself as a potential M&A, opportunity that we may look at and examine. Things like that. It's how can we take this following? How can we take the platform we've built with Psychedelic Spotlight, and how can we leverage it for the use of other potential opportunities out there here for the company that, obviously are going to be revenue drivers here, because at the end of the day, I know that's, what it's all about. But to me, it all starts with this platform of Psychedelic Spotlight, continuing to grow that, continuing to grow our following. And I believe as we continue to do that, we will, I believe, come face to face with some other opportunities out here that may allow us to grow out as a public company.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm sure the investors are happy to hear that. So I know you already touched on this a little bit before. We're saying 10 to 15 years, but what do you see happening in the industry in the shorter period, like 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great question. In 10 to 15 years, I think is that's obviously the very long pathway here. But, listen, I've read, and, people can go out there, get on their Google machine and, look at projections here for the psychedelics industry. I've seen some that say, that the psychedelic medicine sector alone can reach, upwards to $10 billion by 2027. I believe in the potential of that. And that's just simply based on, many different companies that are involved in this space right now, from, companies like MindMed, Field Trip Health, Compass Pathways, MAPS, who all have a variety of different clinical trials surrounding these novel psychedelic molecules that they are developing. And these companies have put millions of dollars and so many resources into these clinical trials here. And seeing where they are, I do believe that it is likely that we will start to see psychedelic medicine, at least start to receive FDA approval here over the next couple of years. You look at MAPS, they've got, an MDMA clinical trial focused on PTSD that is probably the most advanced clinical trial out there today. And there's murmurs out there that 2023, 2024 it may receive FDA approval. That's not guaranteed, but the fact that we're having that conversation, the fact that these clinical trials and that these drugs are moving closer and closer to at least being able to be considered by the FDA shows how far along this space and this industry has come in a relatively short amount of time. And again, I just feel there's too much momentum behind it for it to not get where I believe it's going to go. So I think here in the next 5 years we will start to see psychedelic medicine make its way more into the healthcare system here in the United States. I know Canada's making some great progress on their end as well. So it's around the corner.
All right. That actually leads perfectly into this next one. So I believe I brought it up to you. So it's like the process of extracting an AME1 compound from a certain type of mushroom. So essentially, the investor looked you up, and he's asking a question about how you do this. And I spoke with you shortly. It turns out it's another company, PSYC Wellness Ltd. So can you give us just anything on that?
Yeah, I'm glad that was brought up. So PSYC Wellness Ltd, they are a Canadian company. They have the same ticker symbol as we do. They did get it after we did, PSYC, but they operate within Canada. And we've been made aware, and we've been aware of this for the past few months, that oftentimes their press releases cross wires with ours and end up showing up on our OTC page. I've already reached out to the OTC and alerted them. They have not come to me yet and said that they have a full resolution on that, but we are working towards that because it's very important to us that we don't want any confusion out there. So I'm going to make it very, very clear. Psyched Wellness is not us. So anytime you see news that goes out there, I highly recommend to always make sure that somewhere in the header you see that it's our name, Global Track Solutions. And that it's actually us, and that it's not something that's actually related to Psych Wellness, because again, that's not us. So I'm glad that was brought up. And again, we're actively trying to resolve it so that we don't see that cross in press releases occur again in the future.
All right. Yeah, and just to expand on that. So for now, you're just focusing on the media. You're not doing anything physically with extracting or research or anything.
Yeah, at this moment, no. We are focused on media, Psychedelic Spotlight, and the Psycdev app.
Excellent. Okay. Actually, Psychedelic app. Here you go. So in your most recent PR, stated that your company has ownership in Psycdev and is developing a lifestyle app. When do you think this app will launch? How does the company intend to generate revenue? Is it a subscription model, advertisements, data?
Yeah, another great question. So as far as launch, we are still tentatively planning for a launch, and I think the second half of 2020. The important thing that I want to point out is, we are slow walking this. We're not trying to rush into market. We've actually redeveloped and kind of restructured the core fundamentals associated with the app. It was originally being developed to be purely a guided trip app, but we recognized that that was not something that we were confident was going to be able to deliver long-term value. We thought maybe it might be something that would react positively for the first several months or year, but long-term we just didn't see where it was going to be able to deliver enough value for it to become an app that someone was going to want to keep and continue to use continuously for the next several years. So yeah, we went to work on sort of identifying what apps are existing out there. We looked at Calm, as I've mentioned in the press release, and again, just remind everyone we're not building this to be the next version of Calm, but other apps such as MindLeap, the Trip app, just kind of dissecting those and taking a look. What do they have to offer? What are the cool features that they have built in there? But what are their shortcomings? And really trying to create this all-encompassing mental wellness app that is really going to tap into this increase in interest in people wanting to utilize plant medicines, whether those are psychedelics or whether it's cannabis, to achieve what we call peak performance. And I think that's the important thing I want to point out here. This app is not being developed for, as a treatment option or a tool for individuals suffering from clinical mental health conditions. This is strictly for professionals or individuals that are looking, to expand on their creativity, expand on their confidence, expand on, trying to become better professionals, better persons, better family members, whatever it may be, through the use of psychedelics and other plant medicines. And so, again, we feel very confident in the market that it is starting to develop here, for resources and apps like this. As far as monetization is concerned, subscription-based model. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. So tiered subscriptions is probably what we're looking to, roll out here, with paid upgrades being available within the app, but also looking at how can we create two sides here. One side that is, of your users, which is made up of, people like you and I, Joseph, that, would potentially be interested in using the app, but also looking at how can we get therapists, guides, life coaches involved in this, and also have them, perhaps pay a subscription for it as well, to kind of broaden our monetization capabilities with it.
Gotcha. All right. Well, now that we're done with the entertaining questions, just a couple financial ones. So, the company has a substantial amount of debt on the books, with most of it belonging to RB Capital. How does the company plan to generate revenues to service that debt?
Yeah, another great question. I mean, listen, there's no question about it. The debt is the 800-pound gorilla in the room here. And I can understand, on the outside looking in, it looks menacing and ferocious. But, having had the opportunity, like I've had here over the last several months, to really dissect our debt table, I feel confident, not saying that it's not a big challenge, because it is, but I do feel confident in our ability to gain control of it and get our arms wrapped around it. And I think a big reason for that is, yes, a majority of that debt, roughly 4 million of it, is, tied to RB Capital Partners, whom we've worked with for the better part of the last 4 years, and, whom I've established a very strong rapport with. They have been big supporters of our company here for the past 4 years, and a big reason why we are still here. But they do believe in the long-term vision of the company. Now, of course, as all investors, they want to make the most out of their investment here, and I respect that, and it's my job to try to make that happen here. But I think they realize, the challenges that we were faced with here. And with that, and with their commitment to wanting to see us get to where they know we can get here within this industry and continue to grow within this space, they recognize, we're going to have to come to the table. We're going to have very open, transparent conversations, which we've already, started to have very preliminary conversations with them about, how can we get control of this? How can we, make this into a situation where it's not as daunting as it is. And so they understand there's going to have to probably be some flexibility on their part. There's going to have to be some flexibility on ours. There'll be a little give and take involved. But again, I think at the end of the day, being able to have what I call a friendly investor on our side, like RB Capitals, as opposed to, someone that would have that kind of notes on our books, that's got their boot on our throats, saying, I want my return now. I think it's somewhat advantageous for us, and allows us an opportunity to be able to deal with this, I think, in a way that is going to make sense, and that's actually going to help us here as we continue to build out our revenue model here for the company, which is absolutely going to be a big part of how we're going to tackle this debt over the course of time. Developing a healthy revenue stream here for the company. We've been able to slowly get that going here with Psychedelics Spotlight. We ended the quarter of 2021 with 25,000 in revenue, which is an incredibly modest number. I understand that, but I remind everyone we're just beginning to scratch the surface of sort of exploring the monetization capabilities that we have here with Psychedelic Spotlight. They're mostly paid media partnership, type services that we're offering to companies within this space. So essentially public relations type services. But I think the interesting thing here is, a lot of these companies within this space, within the psychedelic space, they see the opportunity to get more eyeballs on them through us, because they see, hey, you guys have a really strong audience and following here. People are paying attention to the content you're putting out there. How can we utilize this, to help get us, more exposure out there? And so we're trying to maximize the use of that. We're also exploring other opportunities as far as sponsorships and advertisements, and, your typical monetization opportunities that, most media companies are able to tap into. But, I think the Psycdev app will play, at least I hope and intend for it to play a more critical role in, creating a more stable revenue stream for us here over the next several months. And as I mentioned earlier, Joseph, it's all about exploring other opportunities that are out there, where we find, that may bring value based on, what we have here already with Psychedelic Spotlight. So I'm going to remain, aggressive in terms of trying to push that to the max, because listen, I don't enjoy standing knee deep in the mud of the debt that we have here. And I certainly don't do it for, for fun, but I do it because, I realize that there is a way out. And I fully believe in the potential that we have here. And that's why I stick with it. So it's going to be a process, but I am confident that we have the fundamentals in place. I also brought on, Craig Schlesinger. He's our acting VP of finance, to help, excuse me, to help. So it's not just me having to formulate this plan and these strategies in terms of working our way out of this debt. So again, I think we have enough in place here to at least start putting a plan together to get ourselves in a much better situation.
All right. Excellent. Yeah. So just to kind of echo the above question a little bit. So to an outsider with no knowledge of the space, what are future revenue projections? Obviously, they're tied to the market's growth as well. So what does the industry's growth look like as a whole?
Well, yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to, what we were talking about earlier. I mean, the projections of, the industry reaching over $10 billion in terms of revenue potential, by 2027. And for us, that's great. So, I mean, as these companies here within this space, the Mind Meds, the Field Trip Health, the Compass Pathways, all these companies, Cybin, as they continue to, move forward with what they're doing, it's only advantageous to us, because then these companies now are first, they're going to obviously lend more credibility here to this space and certainly demonstrate that this is moving in a direction where this industry can become a full-fledged industry. But on the other side of it, us being able to offer them services or offer them opportunities to leverage the use of our platform then creates an opportunity again where, we have more opportunities to drive revenue through that. So the success of the industry as a whole and all these companies involved in it is very important to us. And I think we're playing a role in helping to move these companies forward and get momentum behind them based on the content that we're putting out there. So it's this synergistic sort of, dynamic that we've created here, where we're helping them to help us. But as far as revenue projections are concerned, I mean, my focus, being very modest as far as, what we're trying to get here, from the media side of things. My first milestone is I want to hit that 100K marker on a monthly basis. I think we've got enough here to accomplish that. And then I hope, the intent is that sets us up to then start, tapping into some other opportunities or exploring other opportunities, long term, again, looking for companies that could potentially benefit in terms of, looking at our public vehicle, looking at, what we've established as far as our identity within the public markets, as a company here in the psychedelic space, our platform, our following, and it's going to come down to just identifying what opportunities we feel make the most sense here for the company as we continue to move forward.
Excellent. All right. Well, yeah, we ran through all the questions. Do you have anything else to share before we wrap up?
No, I mean, I love doing this. I think it's very important to be as open and as transparent as possible. I understand, again, as we mentioned, from the outside looking in, this looks like, oh my God, how is this ever going to, how is this company ever going to evolve into something that is able to deliver significant value? And I understand that, having worked in the public markets, I understand those concerns, but listen, I'm here for a reason. I certainly do not aspire to be a CEO of a pink sheet penny stock company forever. I don't wake up every morning and, look at where our stock is and say, oh my God, I'm so happy. No, it's not that. I'm in this for the long run. I do believe in the long-term potential of this. Otherwise, trust me, I would not be putting my heart and soul into this on a daily basis, nor would I be having this incredible team of mine come along on this journey with me if I didn't believe in our ability to really create something special, create something unique here, and something that I think is going to resonate with this emerging industry of psychedelics and resonate within society and our community. So, we've got a long road ahead of us, but we've also come a long way. There were people that, when I took over in July of 2020 that didn't think we would even survive towards the end of 2020, we're still here, and I think given all circumstances, we're thriving. We've followed through with a lot of what we said we were going to try to establish in terms of building Psychedelic Spotlight into a prominent media platform. We've done that, and building the audience for it. And now the focus is on, let's create, some really strong, healthy revenue streams for us. And let's really go to work on attacking that debt. And let's make the most of this incredible ticker symbol that we've got and this great position that we're in, to be involved in this space early on and build a name for ourselves early on. So that's what it's about. It's just the commitment that I have to seeing this through.
I love it. I love it. I think this went great. Sure, we'll get some more questions for next time. Just got to give it some time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, again, excellent.
Thank you.